And Curry messed it up and then lost to Gretzky, but Berta followed up and got away a shot anyway. Back comes Mario Lemieux. Leaves for Gretzky. Gretzky centering one, and Murphy's shot is blocked. Now Canada back to Bourque, a drive, and Taco took it against his chest and held it. 42 seconds left in Finland's penalty.
Finland's getting the chances, but they just seem to keep finding a way to mess it up. And it seemed like a rolling puck disturbed Curry on the play. Here's the chance here as Gretzky gets in, gives it to Bourque. Just let it go. Ray Bourque, the Boston Bruins. A defenseman with 95 points with the Boston Bruins. Does that sound familiar, Dan?
Only 26 years of age. It seems like he's been around forever, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
Of course, when you break in at 18, it seems like you have been here for a while.
And be playing at 18 on a high-quality level. Former Calder Trophy winner, of course.
Here's Bourque at the point, over to Murphy. Murphy centered, and one-timing it wide of the net was Dineen. Dineen tries again. 30 seconds left in the penalty. Hard-working Kevin Dineen. Back on the point. Comes back to Dineen. Back to Bourque. Shoots one, blocked at the defense. Rebound to Howardchuk, and his shot deflects off Blomqvist and goes up into the crowd.
There's Kevin Dineen as he started his international play back with the Olympic team. 1984. Never forget Dineen, of course, playing through that Olympic year with the bad shoulders. Then he came on and joined the Hartford Whalers after the tournament. Has become one of those players that every coach in the NHL loves to have. Gritty, grinder type player who's prepared to pay any kind of a price for his team.
Not only a pretty good grinder, but he's become a good goal scorer. 40 goals last year. Here's Howardchuk trying to center. Jutila there to knock it away. And it's flipped out by Finland with just 5 seconds now left in the penalty. Bourque back to get it. On the fly to Dineen. Dineen can't get it centered. Blomqvist takes him out. And then shot away. Held in by Murphy. Finland back at full strength. And then play is called as Gronstrand knocked it down with a hand pass. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
What you're about to see is what makes the new Cooper Superlight a better performance skate. This, the revolutionary Tough Tongue. The Tough Tongue locks your foot comfortably in place. So out here where it counts, Superlights give more support, more control, better protection when you need it most. Try new Superlights with Tough Tongue. See why the world plays hockey with Cooper.
9 minutes, 51 seconds left in the second period. 3-1 Canada. Here's a new line combination for Team Canada. Sutter at center ice with Claude Lemieux and Gartner on the wings. Comes to Patrick at the right point. In behind to Brent Sutter. Now to Claude Lemieux. Lemieux in front. There's a drive by Gartner from close in, and he blasted it well wide. And Rochefort has to chase back into Canada's zone. Rochefort plays one intended for Brent Sutter. Hustling back is Gronstrand. Gronstrand loses. Here's Gartner. Shoot, shot it wide. On a steal or a giveaway, Gartner just shot wide. Here's Sutter trying to center. Taco made the save, and with Gartner standing on his doorstep, Gary Taco held onto it.
Well, Gronstrand's having a terrible period. He was the one that gave away the puck and the bad clearing that set up the Dineen goal, and here he just hands it to Mike Gartner. Literally handed it to him. He couldn't have got a better pass from his teammate. Look at the play and the chance, and Gary Taco had to go the other way to step that one aside. Well, Gronstrand not having the best of periods at all.
Couple of giveaways back-to-back by Finland.
The second time round on his way out was Jukka Seppo, and turned that around as well.
Taco will watch a face-off off to his right. Gretzky with Tocchet and Kropp. Gretzky wins the draw. Up Tikkanen. Trying to get it. Sheeran knocked it back to the net. Here's Kropp giving it to Gretzky. Gretzky centered. Kropp couldn't get it. And Tikkanen breaks out. Tikkanen over to Curry. Gary Curry in, but Tikkanen was just in ahead of the play and offside at the Team Canada blue line.
There's a guy who worked very, very hard to make this team, Brian Propp, who's in his 4th international tournament now. Coming into this tournament, had 25 games of international experience. This has become a fixture with the Philadelphia Flyers at the age of 28 from Lanigan, Saskatchewan.
8:53 left in period 2. 3-1 Canada over Finland. Here's Siren. Now bouncing one in. Fuhr there to grab it and clear it away. Hagman trying to hold it in. Knocked into center ice by Canada. And then Finland lose it, and here's Gretzky. To Propp, blasting one high and wide. Ruotsalainen back to pick it up. Murphy held it in. Murphy to Gretzky, shooting. Taco the save. Rebound, Propp fanned on it, and Curry breaks back with Hagman and Tikkanen. 3-on-2 break. Tikkanen shoots wide in the short side. Tocchet now into center ice to Propp to Gretzky. That's broken up. Tocchet now picks up a loose puck. Breaking in with Propp to Propp, back to Tocchet. Cleared by Berta and carried out by Jutila, number 7. Timo Jutila. Drop pass to Hagman, trying to center, but Bork breaks it up. Now Hagman center to Jutila. Shoots one, blocked. Another shot. This one stopped by Fuhr. Jutila again. Back of the net. Brent Sutter there to feed it out for Gretzky. Gretzky for Canada. Gretzky stick handling beautifully. Flips it in. Sutter went in to get it, but now fired out by Finland, and here's Skriko. Skriko carries in, and Ruutu had gone in ahead of the play, they say, offside at Canada's blue line. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
Playing hockey was a wonderful experience. Today, young Canadians are carrying on the tradition. Unfortunately, costs have increased. That's why McCormick Champagne Crackers have come to the support of minor hockey. October to December, when the young people come to your door, support them. $1 out of every package sold goes to support local teams, so everyone wins. You can enjoy the great taste of McCormick Champagne Crackers and support a Canadian tradition.
Well, when your 2 line mates are playing on the other side, you tend to do things like that. Blasted it away, but Gretzky has been wailing away when I think probably under normal circumstances he'd be making a play. He's just not familiar with his line mates yet, and that's part of the problem, of course, everybody in Team Canada is facing.
Here's the Team Canada line of Messier with Sutter and Claude Lemieux. Carrying out his Bloomquist. Up the middle for Ruutu. Christian Ruutu feeding it to Petri Skriko, who fires it in for Finland. Ruutu going in to get it. Sutter took him out. Brent Sutter and Skriko fight for it. And as is usual the case, Sutter will win those battles, and Brent Sutter did. Here's Claude Lemieux. Lemieux breaking in to Messier, right in, he shoots, he scores! Mark Messier!
Our friend Gromstrand is caught again, and here comes the pass in front of the net. The deep man, the trailer on the play, was Mark Messier as Lemieux sets it up. It's Bork who runs the interference in front, and there was just nothing the tackle could do on that play at all. Here it is again. Now watch Bork, number 7, go to the front of the net. And the trailer, the 3rd man on the play, Messier. Nicely set up.
The subtitle of this period could be The Period I'd Like to Forget by Jari Gronstrand. Here's Siren out there as Finland now trails 4-1. Finland trying to break it out. Howard Chuck held it in front to Dineen. He's checked. Now Goulet after a loose puck. Comes to Rochefort. Shot back of the net. Kevin Dineen trying to center one. Dineen continuing the battle. Now held in by Howard Chuck. His shot blocked by Ruotsalainen. Ruotsalainen for Finland. Into Helmanen with a long shot. Fuhr handles that, flips it out to Howardchuk. He lets it go to Michel Goulet. Now it's center to Dineen. And Helman is back for Finland. Ruotsalainen to Siren, number 8. Siren to Remo Suominen, who tips it in. Rochefort over to take it away from him in the corner. Rochefort falls with Suominen, and we get a stoppage. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
So good, so good. 7-Up feels so good coming down. Yeah.
Canada's taken a 4-1 lead over Finland, and due to guys like Brent Sutter, Kevin Dineen, Claude Lemieux, and Rick Tocchet, these are the grinders, and if Finland had some of those players, along with their finesse, they'd be doing a lot better in this game.
That last scoring play was Messier from Sutter and Bork. 13-15 the time to make it 4-1 for Canada. Face-off coming up deep in Team Canada's end of the rink. Gretzky on the face-off. And then someone jumped into the circle. Olanen, number 22, is on the face-off against Gretzky. Gretzky wins it, and Coffey controls. Nice pass up the middle, picked up there by Gartner. Knocked away from him. And now Udala coming up with a loose puck. Gartner back-checking, feeds Gretzky. Gretzky against Berta. Gretzky trying to make a play. Couldn't get it to Prop, and Finland clear it out of there. Murphy for Canada to Paul Coffey. Coffey's long pass eludes everyone, goes the length of the ice. Berta back to touch it, and that's icing against Canada. Canada, by the way, here in this second period seemed to have gone back to 3 lines, Ron, from the 4 lines they started the game with.
Well, there seemed to be a problem there with the team going and running a little flat. There's Hannu Virta. Hannu Virta is going to play in Finland again this year, but he's interested in returning to North America. Yeah, here's Dan Matheson down below.
Ron, I invite everyone to join us for our second intermission. We will talk live with Jari Kurri of the Finnish national team, also of the Edmonton Oilers, of course. Tom Watt of Canada's coaching staff joins us. Brad will have his highlights and analysis, and we'll have the Toyota scoring summary.
Okay, Dan, face-off coming up deep in Canada's end of the rink. Hagman against Messier. 5:09 left in the second period. Won by Finland. Blomqvist feeding it in. Now they drop it back, and Gronstrand couldn't get it or hold it in the zone, and they have to drop back. Now it's flipped in, but Bork is there for Canada. Over to Hartsburg. Hartsburg into center ice. And Hagman knocks it off the boards with Bork back to get it. Gives to Hartsburg, out to Sutter. Brent Sutter over to Bork, into the zone, but Messier was in ahead of the play. Offside at Team Finland's blue line.
There's Mark Messier, the Edmonton Oilers, of course. Just to finish the thought on Hannu Virta, who, of course, is a Buffalo Sabre property and played pretty well for Buffalo as well, but he had to go back to Europe to complete his military duty, and in so doing had a kind of a year he'd like to forget. He has played very well the first half of the year, and then his game fell apart as he was trying to combine hockey and the military. So he's going back to Finland to play one more year, but says he would like to return to the NHL perhaps after this coming season.
Here's another giveaway. Goulet to Dineen. Dineen to Mario Lemieux. Shoots shot it wide. Oh, Lemieux was in all alone and just missed. Here's Dineen. In front to Lemieux. Back to Dineen. Backhander. Taco comes out. Stops Dineen. Dineen fail back up to battle and center it. Here's Lemieux. Shot it right through the crease. And breaking out is Striko. Over to Mikko Makala. Rochefort took him out of the play nicely. And now it's Patrick coming up with it, and then Fuhr is knocked flying by one of the Finnish forwards, and then he's grabbed by Norman Rochefort.
Rochefort has just eliminated, I would think, the penalty that is about to be handed out. So there's a charging penalty certainly going out. We'll get a chance when we come back to take a look at it, but we'll take a break with the score 4-1 Canada. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
Sun ain't up when I start. I'm working hard, but I'm working smart. I got me a Honda to get around. I got power. A 4-track to 4x4 to cover ground. And I'm a 4-wheeling, good feeling Honda 4-tracks man. A 4-wheeling, hard-working man. Yes, indeed.
Christian Ruutu is the man who gets the penalty for Finland.
And there it is. They call that a charge. I'm a little doubtful of that. You're not allowed to touch a goaltender when he's outside the crease.
15:54 the time. Don't ask me. Ask Mr. Schubert.
And then the little wrestling match didn't help the matters too much.
I think all officials take into consideration that those goaltenders are pretty defenseless down there. And Norman Rochefort came right away to the aid of Grant Fuhr.
Looked a little stupid doing it. I mean, it just, to me, the whole thing was, you're out there wearing all that padding and so on. He was playing the puck.
Well, all teams do that when you get near the goaltender, don't you find?
Yeah, I find it. I find the whole affair is time-consuming.
Here's Canada on the power play. Bork firing it in for Goulet. Taco able to clear it away. Udala trying to work it free behind the net. Gets it over to Berta. Berta with a good play, but Bork held it in. Into the corner. Berta gets it again. Off the boards to Suominen, one-on-one against Murphy. Suominen shot off Murphy and wide of the target. Now Murphy breaks out on right wing. His pass to Howardchuk. Howardchuk trying to move in. He's checked, and then Berta flips it to center ice, and Bork has it there. 1:08 left in Finland's penalty. Ray Bork over to Murphy. Canada changing on the fly as Murphy hits Messier. Messier to Murphy. Over to Gretzky. Back to Murphy. Murphy shooting. Pad save by Taco. Now Coffey pokes it in, but Berta intercepts and feeds Suominen. Back to Berta. Trying to center. Berta had a whack at it, but Coffey cleared it away. Canada still in a power play. 37 seconds left in Finland's penalty. Coffey breaking out. Flips it in, and Siren feeds Hagman. Hagman with only Coffey back. Shoots, and Fuhr came out and made the save, and Gretzky drops it back. Fuhr gives it back to Gretzky, who feeds Props. Now to Hartsburg. 18 seconds left in Finland's penalty. Hartsburg wide with that shot. Digging in his Prop. Couldn't get it. Gretzky knocks it down, but Hagman then drops it back. And Gronstrand feeds Gary Curry. Here's Curry feeding it in. Finland back at full strength now. But a lead pass to Tocchet for Canada. Has Prop with him. The Philadelphia connection, but it's intercepted this time by Gronstrand. Now Hartsburg trying to hold it in. He couldn't. And Paul Coffey feeds it up on right wing to Gretzky. Gretzky stick handling beautifully. Back to Coffey. And that's intercepted, and Finland gummed the center but overskated. Coffey shoots it back in. Shot right back out by Siren, and Fuhr has to come out and beat Makela to it. Makela now trying to beat Skriko. Skriko tied up by Patrick. Now loose in front and whacked at and shot wide by Skriko. Skriko upended by Rochefort. Rochefort trying to freeze it there, and does, and then they whistle it down because of a hand pass. 1:13 left in the period.
Well, you talk about your surprises. I guess Normand Rochefort is a surprise to some people, in much the same way that we've mentioned a couple of others who have come along in this camp. But Rochefort turned up last year at Rendezvous when they had some injuries on their defense and wound up making the Rendezvous 87 team last winter. So then he turns up here and turns up to make this team as well. And I thought Serge Savard had a very interesting thing. He says, take a look at the record of the Quebec Nordiques when Normand Rochefort is not in their lineup. When he is out with injuries, and he's had a few of them over the years, he says he is very sorely missed.
Serge is a big booster of Rochefort. Of course, the Canadians play the Nordiques so often that he'd know him well, and he says he's a good one, and he alerted Keenan and the coaching staff to that. Keep an eye on him, they said. There's going to be a penalty to Canada now, as Bork will go. Delayed penalty at center to Berta. Now to Udala. Over to Ruutu. Ruutu centered. Shot wide from the slot by Hagman. Delayed penalty coming up at Finland with great puck control here. Back to Udala. Shooting. Pure the save, and now Tocchet gets possession. Now the delayed penalty to Bork with 39 seconds left here in the second period. Canada leading 4-1, but Bork to the penalty box, and Canada will be shorthanded.
Well, a tough kind of a penalty to be called right at the side of the net. Somebody went down under some checking right there. Bork is the guy who's going off. This coming with 39 seconds remaining in the period. Watch the lower left of the screen on the replay when we get it.
Team Canada's penalty number 7, Raymond Book.
All right, watch the upper left. It's right at the side of the net. There it is, the check. A little bit of extra push there from behind. Sent the player down. Makala cross-checking.
So Finland with their only goal in this game via the power play, with Hagman, Tikkanen, and Curry up front. Ruotsalainen is 1-point man, Udala the other. But Canada comes up with it, and Patrick blasts it off the boards. The link to the ice. This is Timo Udala, number 7, leaving it for Ruotsalainen. Back to Udala. Return to Ruotsalainen. Ruotsalainen, number 29. Back of the net. Hagman couldn't control it. Hartsburg clearing it. Udala held it in, but Hartsburg follows up, gets it again, and clears it out of there. 7 seconds left in the period. Finland, Ruotsalainen to center. Checked by Sutter, and that ends the second period. Canada will be shorthanded for the first minute and 22 seconds of period 3.
Well, the score is 4-1. Canada is maintaining a lead here. The game is getting better as it goes on. A little more action, I think, from Finland in this period. Their game is sharpening up, but I thought through the last 5 minutes of the second period, Canada also picked up its play and is beginning to look sharper than it has throughout this tournament so far. Canada outshot Finland 17-13 in the period, so they have a total of 38 shots to 25 for Finland so far through 2 periods.
The score after 2, Canada 4, Finland 1. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
Since their beginning in 1924, each Olympic Winter Games has had its memories and triumphs preserved through the creation of Winter Games posters. As an original sponsor of Calgary 88, all 15 Olympic winter posters, plus a Labatt's commemorative. That's blue and blue light. So collect all 16, because as empties, they're worth 5 cents. But as Olympic memories, they're worth much more.
Sears Portrait Studios present some great new faces. New faces captured by the photo experts at Sears.
Through Saturday only, get 1 8x10, 3 5x7s, and 15 wallet-sized portraits for just $12.95.
So if your family has a great new face, Sears is the place to take that face.
Through Saturday only at Sears.
What do you call a car with this much styling outside and so much room inside? What do you call a family car with the efficiency and performance of a 16-valve engine? What do you call a car the Automobile Journalists Association of Canada called the best imported sedan? What do you call a car with a 5-year, 100,000-kilometer powertrain warranty? We call it Camry. You'll call it incredible. The 1987 Toyota Camry. Who could ask for anything more?
Who's the giant of the tire industry when it comes to replacement radials? Well, if you think it's Firestone, brace yourself. Michelin or Goodyear, think again. Because you're in for some news that's rather earth-shaking. The best-selling replacement radials in Canada are Modelmaster from Canadian Tire. For safety and performance, it's Motomaster, Canada's #1 radio by a landslide. Motomaster from Canadian Tire. Built tough, back tough.
It is Canada 4, Finland 1, 20 minutes left to play here at the Copps Coliseum in Hamilton, Ontario. The second game for both these teams in the 1987 version of the Canada Cup Hockey Tournament. Brad Park back with us once again. We've taken a look at a second period. Ron Roos said he thought the Finns were playing much better in that period than the first. Your thoughts? You agree with him?
No, I don't. I think that the Finns have been very tentative. They've been hounded by the Canadians. They've had trouble giving up a lot of giveaways, especially in their own end. And you got to credit people like Sutter and Lemieux and Tocchet for really chasing them down, putting some pressure on the defensemen. I think it's showing a little bit of weakness back there. They've got some good defensemen, you know, with Rotzelin and Vertu, but then they've got some inexperience back there.
Seems to me that the names you mentioned, along with Claude Lemieux and Kevin Dineen and Tocchet and Sutter, that's exactly the kind of player that the Finns do not have.
It's true. I think that it's one thing. They've got an awful lot of finesse out there, but finesse doesn't get the puck out of the corner. Well, it does, but not all the time. Sometimes when the other guy's got the puck, you've got to get out of the corner, and you're not going to go in there and stick handle and get it out. You've got to knock people down. You've got to dig it out. You've got to make the one thing the Canadians are doing is making the Finnish team very aware of people chasing them, which means they know they're going to get hit, and it worries them. I don't think the Canadian defense is as worried about the Finnish forwards.
All right, 2-1 was the score in that period. Canada wins another period. You've got highlights for us?
I think so. You know, one thing that was a classic out there was the Canadian power play. They had some great opportunities there. They moved the puck around them very well. They also took the point shots. Now, a lot of times when you're playing against teams and they use a small box, you've got to go to the point. And the one thing the Russians don't do is they don't go out to the point. However, the Canadians, in this example, went out to the point a couple of times. First of all, they win the draw. Dig the puck out. They've got the puck over on the boards. Here's Dineen going back to the point to Bork. Bork makes a good play keeping it in. Now he starts looking around. He comes back over the other side to Murphy. Now look in front of the net. That's one thing that really distracts teams. Lemieux is in front of the net, and the defenseman doesn't know where to chase him. Now Dineen has the puck. He's going to move it out with Ray Bork here. Now watch the guy at the top of the box for the Finnish team. He's killing the penalty. Look how tight that box is. Goes out to the point. They bring the guy out of the box. Bork goes back to Dineen. Now, the guy from the top of the box rushes in and leaves Bork open for the one-timer. Unfortunately, the other players in Canada didn't read the one-timer. We didn't have anybody in front of the net. But good position and working from the top of the blue line in. We have to look at that type of things. The Russians and the European teams like to play in tight on the power play. Kevin Dineen, you know, he's getting more ice time tonight than he has in the past, and he capitalized on a very good opportunity. You got to admire, because here's Goulet. Now watch Goulet take two people out here, right? Both defensemen, boom, comes around. Larry Murphy moves in. Dineen, who should be backing up, just keeps going, and he beats Tackle low on the glove side. Now Tackle was more worried about Murphy shooting the puck, and he was playing Murphy's shot, and Murphy fanned on it, and that's why it caught him out of position. Ray Bork playing very well tonight and created the Messier goal, and Claude Lemieux with a very heads-up play while he was carrying the puck. Bork moves it up to Lemieux. Now watch Bork go right to the net, right through, forces the defenseman on the other side to make the choice. He stays a little bit more with Bork. The puck comes from Lemieux to Messier, and Messier just puts it by Tackle, and he had no chance because he didn't see it because of Ray Bork.
A glimmer of hope for the Finns might be the fact that their power play, which, as we mentioned before, was 0 for 18 coming into this hockey game, finally clicked in the second period. That might give them a little bit of confidence.
It did. It was a little breakdown, and unfortunately Grant Fuhr was screened by Ray Bork, and it was just one of those things. You know, you miss a guy behind the net, no real danger. It wasn't a hard shot, but the screen went through. The other thing that, you know, really is the last highlight that I have is Brent Sutter doing such a great job and chasing down Gronstad. I mean, Gronstad had a little panic in his eyes.
He had a tough period, too.
And it was kind of one of the things, the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you get the puck and this guy keeps coming, and who is this guy? he keeps coming at me. Now watch Sutter fight off an interference here. He's holding off, he fights off the interference. Gronstad sees him. He should have put the brakes on right there, but he doesn't want to get hit, and he just puts the puck right on Gardner's stick, and Tackle made a very good save staying with him. But that's the kind of pressure the Canadians have been putting on to really upset the Finns.
Finns are down by 3 goals heading home. Have they got a chance, or are the Canadians going to relax now?
Well, not really. You know, the way the Canadians are playing and the pressure that they're putting on them, the Finns don't are the team that's going to rally. I think they're going to play better if they have a lead. Unfortunately, they've got to play catch-up hockey, and they've got finesse to do it. But I don't think that they have the puck carriers deep in their end that are going to lug it up. They've got to start making some four-man rushes. And guys like Ruotsalainen and Virtue have got to go to the offense.
Speaking of offense, we also have the finished goal all queued up for us. It's the power play goal. They finally got some nice nifty play that worked for them.
It did. You know, they do have a lot of talent. And here's a good move at the blue line. Messier's out there forcing. It's going to end up behind the net. And you look at Ruutu, he's behind it. He does a good job of shoving off this check by Bork. Bork gets a piece of him. Now Messier holds his position at the top of the box. Ruutu walks out. Bork goes to him. It's not a hard shot, but it's perfectly placed. It goes between Bork's legs and through Fuhr's legs.
4-1, that's how we stand right now with 20 minutes left to play. Stay with us. We are at the Cups Coliseum in Hamilton, Ontario. This is the 1987 Labatt Canada Cup.
Your Texaco retailer isn't faster than a speeding bullet. He can't leap tall buildings in a single bound. And he's slightly less powerful than a locomotive. But when you need service, he's there. Besides, he's a super guy. Expect more from Texaco.
Will that be all?
You got a phone booth around here?
In times of indecision like these, it's always best to see what the professionals use. Professionals have been using mono brand caulking for over 20 years. If it's good enough for professionals, mono will do the job for you. So when the day comes, and it will, when you need to buy caulking, buy mono, the professional choice.
I'm gonna put this dream in motion, never let nothing stand in my way. When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Tough in every size. Dodge, backed by the 7-115 warranty. That's the Dodge family of Ram Tough trucks.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Tough.
Can't lie down on the job doing stunts like this. It takes all my concentration and split-second timing. My job is tough enough without my allergies acting up. I take Tavist. With Tavist, I get up to 12 hours of relief from allergy symptoms. And I can do my job. I have to look alive, because if I don't, I might not be home.
The Canadians and the Finns both looking for their first victory in this tournament, playing in their second game. The Canadians with a leg up, leading by 3 as we head into the third and final period. Joining us now in the second intermission, Tom Watt with the Canadian coaching staff. What he has been doing principally is pre-scouting, looking at the teams that are coming up for the Canadian team. And we were chatting before the game. Tom, you had some interesting points about the Finns. You've seen them play a bunch so far in exhibition and in the tournament. What was your scouting report on them?
Well, the one thing was that their power play hadn't been too potent, and I know that you've been referring to it. They were 0 for 18 coming into tonight, and but now they've scored once on their 21st opportunity in the last 3 games. So that was the main thing. They hadn't, and they hadn't been generating too much offense. I think they relied mainly on two groups: the Hagman, Curry, and Tikkanen group, and Ruutu, Skriko, and Makala. And they didn't play a 4th line at all, and in the game so far, I think their 4th line has only gotten 3 shifts. So they're relying mainly on 2 lines, and I think when we keep pouring over the boards, I think that that's to our advantage rather than relying on too few players. I think that's one point that I think we're going to see their young kids, the 4th group, maybe a little more later in the game. But mainly their power play hasn't been all that good.
What specifically has been wrong with it?
Well, they controlled the puck well. They moved around the periphery, but they didn't have anybody in front of the net, and they weren't blasting it at the net. Especially, I mean, if you've got a Ruotsalainen, he's got to fire that puck at the net. He can shoot, and they were maybe twice in the last game they were firing off the net, trying to get the nice little cute play off the edge of the net with Curry tipping it in, but they had nobody in front. They controlled it around the periphery, but they didn't really capitalize.
They don't seem to have the kind of player who's willing to stand in front.
Well, that's true. They, on their forward line, they don't have the, you know, a big fellow like Otto or someone like that to go in front of the net. He does that very well. So maybe you've got to do it another way, but it hasn't been very successful the way they have been doing.
Curry and Tikkanen, they can put the puck in the net when they have a centerman who can keep up and set them up. Matty Hagman is the only player in this tournament who played in the very first Canada Cup. He's 32 years old. His legs are a little slow. Are we wasting two fine, talented wingers?
In my opinion, yes. I think that Matty Hagman has been a fine player, but from what I've seen, he makes the cute play. There's no question about that. And he's smart. He's got, but you know, smarts only go so far when the legs leave you. I mean, you've got to. And I think that Curry, you know, is used to playing with certainly another premier player in Wayne Gretzky and Tikkanen as well. So it's maybe a little different for those two wingers to play between Matty Hagman, or Matty Hagman to play between them.
What did the report read on goaltender Taco?
Taco stood up well, kicked out rebounds. Those big pads, he didn't seem to control rebounds as well off the pads as I think maybe he should have. Only fair outside of his crease, but he stands up pretty well, and certainly it wasn't in his game against the USA, it wasn't his fault. It was a 4-1 was the final score, but I don't think there were any bad goals really scored on him, and I think maybe it was more or less the lack of finish offense really that did them in.
Right, with all that information at your disposal, you give that to Mike Keenan and company. What are Tom Watt's recommendations? How do you play against the Finns?
You get ahead, as we have tonight. You get ahead early and then hope that they haven't got enough offense to come back, especially when the power play hasn't been going too good. I think we've done that twice. Twice we've ruined it. We had the momentum, we scored the first 2 goals, then we took 2 straight minors, and they came back, cut the momentum a little bit. Then when the score was 3-0, then they finally capitalized on the power play to make it 3-1. Now we've gone ahead again, and I think what we should really do is try to get that next goal 5-1, and then I think that it'll be an easier night for us.
Tom, thanks very much.
Okay, Dan.
Tom Watt, assistant coach with Team Canada, currently leading 4-1 after 2 minutes of play. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
I've been all the way to the West Bay, all the way to the East, and I stand just as tall in the saddle as I do in the city streets. I know that's the game and how to play, and I know when to make a stand, and I put more in like the king of bills. I'm a genuine Bud man. Bud, 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 Bud. I'm a Bud man.
No matter how many tests we put it through, the looking for home decorating ideas test, the good price test, the money-saving coupon pull, or the coffee table test, our catalog never lasts more than a year, because that's when we bring out the new one. Introducing the 1988 IKEA catalog. It's worth waiting for.
IKEA, Swedish for common sense.
And holding on to.
Welcome back to Hamilton. Canada 4, Finland 1 after 2 periods of play. With me in the broadcast booth, Ron Roosh. Ron, you've covered a lot of European hockey. Let's talk a little bit about Finland. You made an interesting comment at the outset when you said they've never won a medal. They've developed some great individual players. Jari Kurri, a 71-goal scorer, a 68-goal scorer. How come they've never been successful as a team?
Well, there are a couple of reasons, I think, Dan. First of all, I think a point that Brad Park brought up, which is a very good one. The fact that they're not aggressive enough to play really good hockey against the Czechoslovakias and the Soviets, and of course Team Canada over the years. But there's another problem that they have. They've always developed the good players, but never the good teams. And part of it, I think, is that their extracurricular work sometimes at world hockey tournaments, it's rather well known in Europe that they tend to enjoy the nightlife a great deal as well. And they're true amateurs in every sense when they've been getting over to these tournaments. And quite often they just don't perform up to their abilities. As for this game tonight, there's just a total lack of cohesion out there. I think that the team really doesn't have the wherewithal to put together any kind of a concerted offense, and it's just a consistent problem. The only teams they seem to be able to get up for is Sweden, and that's a kind of a traditional rivalry.
Like the Maple Leafs and the Canadians in the old days. 4-1 Canada after 2 periods. This is the Labatt Canada Cup.
Perfect day for it.
Yep.
"50 years ago, Air Canada started out with one small plane
The obstacles that faced our pioneers were as imposing as the land itself. But the demands of the country stretched our knowledge, our wings, and our imagination. Today, Air Canada has earned its reputation as a world-class airline. But that hasn't made us complacent. We'll still be reaching for the moon and the stars tomorrow. And we invite all Canadians of vision to join us.
Canada 4, Finland 1. Our Toyota scoring summary brought to you by Toyota, makers of a full line of rugged, hard-working, hard-playing pickup trucks. Who could ask for anything more? Second period summary saw Dineen score for Canada at 2:49. Ruutu with that power play goal for Finland to narrow Canada's lead, but then Messier at 13:15 to give Canada the 4-1 lead. Shots on goal in the game so far, Canada 38 and Finland 25.
Well, looking back on my score sheet here, Dan, and one thing I noticed over a period of time, if we hadn't had that terrible period by Grundstrand, and I hate to pick on one player because quite often there are others that lead the way, but he made that bad clearing pass that led the way to the Dineen goal. He gave away a puck right inside the zone to Gardner. Got caught up ice on the Messier goal. But then you look back at the scoring chances in the second period, and the interesting thing about it was, and it's a statistic that Team Canada keeps very closely, especially Mike Dineen, and that is that they have the Mike Keenan rather, they've had the edge Finland has in that period. I'm thinking of Makala early on in the period, made a great play that Fjord made a big save on. Ruotsalainen at the 6-minute mark, and again Fjord had to come up very big. There was a 3-on-1 while Canada was on a power play. Corey completely messed it up after he got over the line, but Canada had made a big mistake right there. But the Grundstrand mistakes have completely eliminated any chance for Finland to get into this game. They're trailing 4-1, and I have a feeling now that Canada can coast on home with this one.
You look at Kerry Taco, the goaltender with the Minnesota North Stars, and the goaltender tonight. They talked about probably going to alternate goaltenders, Taco and Jarmo Milos. But the thinking was that even though Taco played the first game, he'd play this game tonight because of his experience against the Gretzkys and these snipers on Team Canada.
Well, a grand total of 38 shots on him through 2 periods. I'd have to say he's done his job. He was the most valuable player in the U.S. game in Hartford the other night, and I think he'll probably be the Finnish MVP again tonight.
Now, right from the face-off, a little bit of an altercation, and we're going to get penalties, I believe, against both teams, at least against Jari Kurri of Finland, the team captain of Finland. And yeah, Team Canada player will go with Jari Kurri, Norman Rochefort, number 5. The attendance here tonight, 9,624. So penalties against both teams right here. By the way, all penalties in Canada Cup rules must be served. The International Ice Hockey Federation does not use the coincidental minor or coincidental major penalty rules.
Raymond Bourque, by the way, is in the penalty box already. He's starting the period and has now 1:16 remaining